So in this video, I'll walk you through my new 3 fund portfolio, and that is simpler, smarter, and better. And most importantly, this portfolio are designed for the long-term growth objectives. So if you are interested, then please watch this video till the end. So as you can see from this portfolio builder, you can just simply choose just one index from these each segment. So the first segment box is for you to choose your favorite country. So if you are from UK and you might think that UK is going to perform well in the next 20 years, then you could choose UK's real index, which is obviously FTSE 100 index. And just to make sure that it is not artificially created index. Okay, so let's say I'm aware of this FTSE 100 index. So I could easily view past 5 to 10 years performance, and that is very critical. So we are not choosing any index which is artificially created, and we could not see any performance past performance at least 5 to 10 years. So we are just omitting those. So as we talk about this example, FTSE 100 index, so we can just easily go and find out what index that it is. And this is just a popular index. This is just an example here. So this is just to make your life a bit easier. So you can choose. So this first segment is all about the country specific. So this is the country where I do believe in that's gonna grow well in the next 20 years, not 5 years, 10 years, but 15 to 20 years minimum. Okay, so once you have that confidence, then this is a one particular index that will be choosing that in the next few minutes. In this segment, we will choose a particular index which will replicate the performance of the world index. So there are majorly two main indexes, such as MSCI World Index as well as FTSE World Index. So it's called MSCI All Cap World Index, something like that, and FTSE All World. So we'll be focusing on FTSE All World because I've done a bit of research on that, and what I could see that FTSE All World Index has got more companies in their index, so it would be better for us to have more exposure like in other countries as well. So we can choose between developed world as well as emerging economies such as developing world. So there are some indexes as well that will talk about it in the later stage. So this is the second segment about choosing an index which is based on the world. So in short, from this segment we'll be choosing only one particular index, and that is our main aim. And the third segment which I've created, and that is for the diversification for downside protection, guys. So it's always a wise move to have different segment, at least just not only into the equities but also a certain portion into bonds or dividends or gold or REITs or crypto. I'm not a big fan of REITs or crypto because I don't have any much knowledge on those, but you could think about those different avenues as well. So it's always best to have a diversified portfolio, and that's how we can get a good growth. So just in case one particular industry or one particular segment is not performing well, then at least from the diversification portfolio you should have at least a good kind of like an ETF where that could perform well. Before jumping into the next screen, I just missed out one important point, and that is from the first segment, which is country specific, I've deliberately kept another point, and that is thematic fund, as you could see here. So this thematic fund is designed for those sophisticated investors, those who are keen on their own industry. Let's say, for example, pharmaceutical industry or IT industry. So in IT industry, a very popular ETF which basically tracks top 50 IT related companies, that could be another option that you could think here. And this thematic fund I'm not that keen on, so you can just keep at least 5% of your portfolio. Now, so decision making process is all up to you. So if I were to choose, then probably I would do 30% into country specifics, 60% into owning the word, which makes around 90%, and 10% into the diversification. So that could be the ideal scenario weightage. but it's up to you. If you think that no, I don't want to have any type of growth country specific any indexes, I just would like to have my own thematic fund, and then I would want to have my own ETF for that. For example, IITEU, which is a very good IT related ETF. So it's up to you to choose what sort of weightage you would want to give it to this thematic fund. Yes, so this is a very good portfolio selector. So the first one was portfolio builder, and this one is a selector. So you can choose a particular ETF. So these are all ticker symbols of popular well-known ETFs. So if you are investing in any of these, or even if you are investing in those ETF tickers which is not in here, then please don't get demoralized, and please do not stop your investment, and please continue with your own investment and speak to a professional advisor before jumping into any of these. And in my personal opinion, you should never change your portfolio unless it is needed. If you don't see any performance for the next 5 years, 10 years, then you can think of that, and that decision has to be based on you, because my decision will be different, my understanding will be different, my whole personal investing style is different, totally different. Okay, so that's why personal finance is very personal. So this is not a financial advice. I'm not a financial guru, and I'm not a financial advisor, tax planner, or any type of wealth planner or accountant by any means. So I'm just helping you. This is what I've gone through, and this is just I've created to simplify the choosing process, so how you can choose certain ETFs. And in fact, this is not a rocket science. So I'll show you what are the other ways how you can do that very easily. It's a very easy format. Okay, so this is the format. Even you can also create your own format. I've created mine one on using an app called Canva, and even you can use it whichever Microsoft Word or whatever you like it. Okay, so I'm not that fancy guy, so this is what I've just created, my own simple ETFs. Okay, so let's start with the growth. So we were talking about CUKX, and that is the in the first ETF portfolio selector we were talking about FTSE 100. Yeah, so this is a FTSE 100 kind of an ETF. So if you would want to dig a little bit deeper into that, then probably what you can do, you can go to a very good website called Just ETF, which is very simple, and it's a better screener compared to this one. This is not in fact a screener, so this is just like a kind of a builder. So this will give you a rough idea where you are going and how you can choose. So this is just like a theme. So in the growth section, we can see here CUKX. So if you're not sure what is CUKX, then it's best to do not go into this by just checking your ticker symbols. In fact, it's better by checking the indexes. I always talk about index, so there should be an underlying indexes. If it is not, then it's not worth it. So many ETF companies, what I have personally noticed here is in the UK, India, everywhere, they create their own artificial ETF. So that means they create ETF and they create their own benchmark as well, so their own index, and which is basically happening in this 21st century. So that should not happen. So companies, they create their own benchmark, okay, and they are tracking their own performance. So, and also they are saying that we are matching the performance, and just, you know, the tracking difference is 0.03, something like that. But to be honest with you, it is their own index which they have artificially created index, and I am against artificially created index. I always believe in genuine index. So whenever you go to, let's say for example, if you go to just ETF, okay, and just type in FTSE 100, it's FTSE FTSE 100, one word, okay, and it will come up as this option is a very good option. So you can go there and you can choose here. So this is a very good way, and they'll show you top FTSE 100 ETFs, okay, and their annual total expense ratio, it's ranging between 0.07 per annum, which is when you if you invest 10,000 pounds, then it will be just £7 per annum, to up to 0.20 percentage per annum. So when you come down here, so this is a chart here. So this is a chart for the 1 year, and these are the performing index. So this is the actual index, FTSE 100 index, and what was its benchmark and things like this. Is the actual benchmark, guys. They talk about the cost. So the largest FTSE 100 ETF, the cheapest FTSE 100, and the best performing FTSE 100. I would go with something which is the largest AUM, asset under management. The bigger the better. This is a distributing, so I won't go with that option. This is again distribution. This is seems like a good option. Okay, so once we click onto that, so this comes to CUKX, and that I was correct because this is the same index. I shares FTSE 100 UCITS ETF GBP accumulation. ACC, that means whatever the money which we are getting distribution as a dividend is reinvested itself. Okay, I go with second option, which is basics. So these are the just basic information about its volatility for the last 1 year and what is its expense ratio. This is the asset under management. Okay, and this is a fund currency, is GBP itself. So that means you're not investing in dollar terms, so there is no currency unhedged version which is required here. So you're just putting your money into GBP here, and fund is domiciled in Ireland, which is very good, and it is provided by BlackRock. It's a big name. Okay, so when we come to this side, then this will talk about its top 10 holding. AstraZeneca, we all know that's a very good well-known healthcare company. HSBC, Shell PLC, Unilever, British American Tobacco, GSK, and BP, British Petroleum, BAE Systems. Okay, so this is all about like companies, and I'm okay with all of these companies, although I don't chew tobacco or any cigarettes, and but to be honest with you, I'm not into ESG, and I personally don't like this kind of marketing practices which most American companies doing. So they have their own criteria as well, and what I've personally noticed is like even if you go to ESG screened companies, you would find companies such as Rolls-Royce, as well as America's Lockheed Martin as well. So they are basically making arms and ammunitions. So to be honest with you, it's all up to you. This is my personal viewpoint, and I try and make it very simple, and I'll choose all the companies. So I love all of them, and there is no right or wrong answer when investing. So again, if you are very sentimental about ESG, and if you still believe that those companies might do well, then you can think and choose ESG screened companies only. But it will be a very challenging, in my opinion. So again, if I would want to find out that how this particular ETF has performed over these years when I compare with its actual benchmark, so we'll check its performance, and that is also very easy. So when you click on the fact sheets option, so it will pop up this fact sheets. So this is the actual fact sheet, also known as KIID, Key Investors Information Document. In India, we call it offer document. Okay, so this will tell you the whole story, that what was the benchmark. So this is the benchmark. Okay, and this is the company has ETF has performed. So this is like for like, you know, it's basically replicating the actual index, it looks like. So it's a very good replication, and this has got all the relevant information. So I would request each and everyone to read these documents very carefully. And if I were you, then what I would do is I would go to their official website, and that is BlackRock. So I'll go to their website and find out that particular index, ETF. Okay, and they will give me the full result. Okay, so this is like all the companies, whatever the lending, listings, everything, each and every information they have to provide us. Okay, and also you can find out the annualized return. So I'm more into annualized return, okay, rather than like the percentage based. Okay, so this is the actual CAGR performance for the last 10 years. It's 701, which is less. So for the last 5 years it was 11.29, which is good, not too bad. So this is how you can choose about a particular index. So let's jump into our main page, and that is this one. Okay, so screener. So the second option is FRCH, which is a Chinese index. So if you are from India, then you can think about this particular index. This is again not a recommendation. This is the index. This is actual ETF where I'm investing personally. So again, this is not a recommendation. You should never go with anyone's recommendation. Okay, so if you're from China, then you can think about FRCH. Again, you can go to the same screener which I talked about, and you can find out those info. If you think that China is going to go well in the next 20 years, then why not? China is also booming at the moment, and it could be the next superpower. So there is no doubt on that. Okay, and if you still believe that VUAG, which is Vanguard's ETF S&P 500 is going to go well, then probably you can think on that. So GSPX is also a very good currency hedged version of S&P 500, so that you can think of. And IITU, as I just told you, this is kind of like a thematic fund, which if I were you, then I would think as just a thematic fund. But I've seen that many of my friends, they do keep this as their core portfolio in the same segment. They just keep IITU. So this is the first section. Okay, segment is finished, and the second segment is all about world. So when you talk about owning the world, that means that if one particular country is not performing well, then you might get the advantage that the another country do well. So let's say, for example, if US is not performing well, then Japan all of a sudden starts doing well, then probably you can get the advantage out of it. Okay, but again, the market capitalization is more towards USA, so it's 63% is into USA in most of the these kind of ETFs. But if you choose emerging market, for example VFEG, which is Vanguard's emerging market ETF, then probably you'd see most of the emerging companies and very few are developed countries. So FWRG is very popular these days. It's the Invesco's FTSE All World ETF. Okay, and VWRP has always been a popular. I do personally invest into this VWRP version, although it is very expensive, 0.22 percentage as the expense ratio. Okay, compared to the FWRG, which is 0.15 percentage. In fact, ACWI, that is also a new one, but that is tracking a different index. So there are two index, mainly FTSE All World and MSCI All World Cap Index. Okay, so you need to bear in mind, so always check with the underlying indexes first. So when you check the underlying index, then actual index has to be the genuine index. For example, what we have seen is in FRIN, or like whatever I'm mentioning, all these ETFs here. So in fact, none of these companies have artificially created their own performance index, which is a benchmark index, and if they are saying that we are tracking those index, that is not the case. So all of these examples, as you could see here, are actual ETFs, and they are basically tracking actual real index. Okay, so VWRP, there is a all world index, okay, which is a very actual index. Okay, and same as ACWI, it's their own index. So FRIN, when we talk about in the growth segment, that is India's FTSE Russell large and mid cap index, which is 30/18. So 30 large companies and 18 mid-sized companies, and most companies are not overlapping, and that's why I love that particular index, which I've been following since 2019, and that is doing quite well. So what I normally do, I go to their official government website. such as NSE, Bombay Stock Exchange, National Stock Exchange websites. You can find the information. So everything listing, everything is registered. Same in scenario CUKX, then I go to London Stock Exchange, okay, and I check whether this is an actual index or not. So this is very, very important. In this scenario, even like VUAG, which is a Vanguard's S&P 500, so that is tracking 100% actual index. GSPX is even better, so that's like currency hedged. You'll see real performance in GSPX. Okay, so now first segment and second segment, these two segments we have finished. Okay, and now the third segment is all about diversification. So IUKD, VHYG, USDV, these are all dividend based indexes. At the moment I'm not interested in withdrawing my dividend. Okay, so these all are like dividend based companies. So just in case if you think that for my diversification, I'm just, for example, I'm just approaching my retirement in 10 years time, and let me put into my money into a very safer way, so I can have a good portion into equity. Okay, and I would like to allocate certain portion into a high dividend yield companies which could provide me some money as well on a monthly basis. Then this could be a very good option. So IUKD is one such option where you could have the dividend as well, and these are the top 100 or 102 companies, dividend paying companies. Okay, so that is for that purpose. Okay, and they will give you a very good regular dividend as well. Let's say for example 3 to 4% a dividend on a monthly basis. Okay, on top of that you could see some growth as well. So VHYG is all about FTSE All World High Dividend Yield Index and ETF, and they basically have a very good decent fund size, just a shy of 1 billion, and they are basically investing. So you can think that these are the top 2000 companies, high yield dividend companies, where you're parking your money and they are going to give you some sort of dividend in return, and that's a very good strategy. So always have this kind of option open when you are approaching retirement. Now this is again not a financial advice, guys, because I've seen that many young guys are investing through dividend paying companies because they've got a good chunk of money and they would want to have some money as their expenses, and why not, this could be their strategy. So it's all up to their strategy, and there's nothing right or wrong about that. Okay, now USDV is all about US dividends. Okay, and SGLN. Okay, so this is a ETC, exchange traded commodities. So this is like investing in gold. So unlike some other investment vehicles such as ETFs, this is ETC, popularly known as exchange traded commodities. So this is basically tracking gold. So this particular ETF SGLN tracks the physical gold bullion. Okay, and that's how this basically mechanism works. So in this scenario you are basically holding a gold asset. Okay, so this is kind of a different asset compared to having the equity, that is investing into a stock market directly. So there are some pros and cons with gold as well. In my case, I've always loved gold, and the performance is also good so far. It's around like 11% CAGR, which is neck to neck to 10.38% CAGR, which is very close to the S&P 500. But as per my strategy, I do not invest more than 10% of my overall portfolio. So you can choose and you can limit your own portfolio in your own app as well. That is for the gold part. Okay, and the last ETF, which is IGL5. Okay, I have created a video about this kind of ETFs. So it would be better if you can find out that video and you can go and do better, because I've explained in detail how the IGL5 works. Okay, it's all about government bonds in the UK known as gilts. And what I've noticed is these are very safer assets, okay, and these are backed by the government of UK. So IGL5 is one such ETF, okay, which is tracking the performance of government bonds and securities. Okay, so now this is the overall theme about how we can approach investing. So before investing, if you would want to create your own this kind of simple selecting tool, then you can also choose and you can create. So you can copy and paste the same from my video. If you would want to, you can take a snapshot and you can share it to your friends and family. Now you might argue that I don't want to have 3 to 4 ETFs into my portfolio, rather I just stick to one particular ETF, and that is for my life. And again, you know, my friend, you are 100% right. Even I might be wrong as well, because like, you know, the way market is going, having too many ETFs and making our life more clutterful is not a good way. So I think so you can go with that option as well. I'm not insisting everyone to just go with this style. It's up to you, because there is no right or wrong in this, and this is my style. And I think so I've been so successful for the last 5-10 years, okay, and by just implementing this technique. And I just thought to create this kind of tool so that we can have a very good understanding. We can go through this kind of route, so that makes our life a bit easier, and that is the main purpose of this video. I hope you've liked my simple approach and just to simplify the ETF selecting method. And if you really like this video, then please do like and subscribe to my channel.